Hello everyone, welcome to this lesson. Prior to this lesson, we start talking about objects in JavaScript, what objects are in JavaScript, how you can declare them, and how you can, you know, get outputs from such declared objects. And in the last lesson, we were able to see two different ways of declaring objects. One with the default way and the other one that includes the use of the new objects as a as what is it called as the first thing that needs to be called the first thing that needs to be declared before you now set the key value PS for your object. And it was said in that lesson that it is not necessary that you always include that new object, as your object declaration or object property will work fine even without it, as the same as both of the two ways achieve the same thing by allowing you to have an object that has key value PS inside of them. So that was where we ended the last lesson. And in this particular lesson, we are going to take it a little further by looking at how JavaScript object properties can be accessed. So in the screen before me, I have a little write-up concerning the object properties. An object is another collection of properties, and you will see that in the last lesson, if you look at an example that we use, let me see if the example is still here. Okay, so you can see that by declaring this person subject, what you have inside are just collection of properties. So name, age, last name, other things like that, eye color, height, and a lot of other things like that. So an object is just another collection of properties. Properties are the most important part of JavaScript objects. Properties can be changed, added, deleted, and some are read-only. So properties are the most important part of JavaScript objects. Refers to what we have inside the object itself, which are a combination of a key value PS that takes in key and then have a corresponding value that matches the key. So those are the properties of an object, and those are the most important parts of what an object is in JavaScript. Now, they say properties can be changed, which means that when you assign a default value to a property, you can change it, you can add new ones, and you can delete even an existing ones and re-add, as you are going to be seeing as we continue in the concept of objects in JavaScript. And then some are read-only. Sometimes some properties of an object are read-only. They are not something that can, be modified. They are just read-only for, some special use cases or purposes. Now, accessing JavaScript properties. Now, when you have your property, how do you access them? How do you access the property of an object? How do you access the key value pairs declared in your object? How do you access it? There are two ways by which you can do this, but the second way of doing this can be done in two other different ways, which is why you are seeing something like three different ways on my screen. So the syntax for accessing the property of an object is the dot notation, which is this one, person.age, as you can see. And then we have this bracket, which takes the property in forms of a string. And then another one, the same bracket notation that does not take the use of this double quotation quotation mark, as you can see in the first one. So let's just take a look at an example of this so that we better understand what we are talking about concerning accessing objects in JavaScript. So now let's first start with a simple example. So I'm going to take all of this out so that we can better have an understanding of what you are working about. So I'll take this out, then I'll add properties to this particular object that I already have. So first name, uh, I want to give it this value. Then after it is comma. Since I have other things that I want to add, then I can put last name and call it maybe East or East, I don't know, anything. Then I can add age, say something like 30. I can add eye color to say, okay, this is red. And I can as well act and say, okay, this person maybe tall, short, or identifier like 6 feet, or just about anything. And now, to access each of these, if you take a look at what I already have on my screen, now you can see something like undefined in my output. I am undefined instant. I am 30 years old. And why is that? Well, let's take a look at why I might be getting this. So if I look at first name, okay, undefined, but here I have a value for it. So what could be the problem? Let me just quickly inspect this to see if I can get what the issue is. There's no issue. Let me refresh. Undefined person dot, oh, sorry. And now you can see the problem. The problem is that I am using first name and here I have name, and that is the reason why I'm getting undefined. So you can see that by the time I change this, I am West, which is first name, and last name is Stan, and I am 30 years old. So you can just put a space here if I want a space after that year in between this, and you can see that my output is properly formatted. So one way of accessing your variable, of accessing your object, sorry, in JavaScript is by using dot uh, notation, as you just saw in this first example. So what we are working on is not expression but JavaScript objects. Accessing objects in JavaScript. Then I can just take this out since I'm not using it. So another way of accessing this is that I can use bracket notation. So which will just be like this, and then I can just pass in my property in like this. First name plus, change this from dot notation to brackets. Last name, and then you can do it like H, yeah, plus yes, and you can see that I have a perfect way of outputting uh what the value of my object is on the screen, as you can see right here. So this is how you can use the dot notation and bracket notation in order to get whatever it is that you want to get out from your object. And another thing I can do is I can just use this bracket notation in another way. I can just do this. I can do it in another way like this and say, okay, let sorry, I want to take this out. And I can do it another way and say let x equals to my first name that I already have declared in my property. First name, first name. And say let y equals to age, which is what I already have. And this one we also put this quotation mark that I have, like the first one. And then once I have this, I can just access this directly. I said, okay, the value of what of my object, which is person, and use this bracket x plus this space, and then another space, then plus person dot y. I think you can see West is 30 years old. So the way I'm able to use it this way is because I've already assigned it to a variable, as you can see here, the properties I have inside my object. And so here when I'm accessing it, I don't need that double quote which are used in the second way of showing it, because I already have it here in the value that is assigned to this variable, and that is why you can see this correct output on my screen. So thank you for your time. In the next lesson, we'll continue to take a look at another aspect of objects in JavaScript. Thank you.